This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host Zach. And mate, championship action returns. How excited are we?
Well, considering we just beat Premier League opposition, should be easy to beat West Brom, languishing down in the relegation zone, right? Question mark. Right?
Well, mate, as you so frequently like to remind me, nothing can be taken for granted in this league.
That's getting to my head, mate. Sorry.
10 games unbeaten, though. It's good signs, good stuff. As we alluded to in the kind of post-match from Fulham. Hard to see us losing ever again, honestly. It's just feeling riding the high, riding that confidence into the game, and against an opposition who couldn't be in more opposite to that form if they tried.
And they've lost 3 of their past 4 home league games against us, mate. So
yeah,
the double over in the last 2 seasons we've played with them. I think the last time we lost was 2021. We drew obviously the first leg of the championship semi-final playoff. We all know what happens the second leg, right? Which was good fun.
Yeah, although look, you can't take that result into too much consideration. The atmosphere alone of that evening had to play something into the hands of that for sure.
Yeah,
but
my point, but like even though that was a hard-fought victory this season, right? Like they put the fear into us, kind of made us change the tactic. You can't just rely on battering a team in the first half. So if anything, it was a good lesson to get us where we are. But it is difficult to not go into this game being overtly positive in comparison to where West Brom are and how we're doing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And they've not won at home so far this year.
Yeah.
So that's like...
Look, I mean,
all the signs point to either an absolutely resounding victory or they pip us 1-0 and
that's
we go
the
back
thing,
to
right? I mean, at other points in this season, we'd be looking at all of these things and thinking about it and going, this sounds exactly like the sort of streak that we like to break. But you're right. It's the current run we're in. And the current mentality that we're playing with. It's very difficult to see us doing anything other than pretty comfortably putting them away. And, I'm sure that we'll see some rotation because we played a strong team against Fulham at the weekend, and we've got Coventry up next, which is always going to be kind of in the back of the mind. First of all, that's going to be a tough game because of their position in the league and the quality they have, but also that there's going to be a bit of needle after it all kicking off at St Mary's. So, we're going to want to show up for that. And so you've got to think that this might be the game we see some of that rotation. And it's just important not to take it for granted, right? And still go in with that mentality and do enough to put it away. That's my only concern, really.
Yeah, but I think that seems to be the mentality that's currently in the squad. The only thing that I would be worried about is, okay, we're playing to win no matter what. Human bodies don't always answer to just will alone, right? And I'm honestly surprised we aren't in as many injury issues as a lot of the other clubs are. We don't have as many, and again, it's throwing back to what I was talking about in our match review. It does feel like we're 1 or 2 injuries away from a crisis. And, we played pretty much a full-strength squad. So, yeah, I'd expect some rotation. But like you also pointed out, you can't treat this game as just, we've won. So we're still going to need to go in with a strong side. And it's just going to be like, who's still got it in them to push through until we can maybe get at least a week off or whatever when the international break is. And even for them, there's quite a few players that probably are not getting a week off. So,
yeah. And you alluded to it earlier in the episode that it was kind of good for our season overall and sort of gave us the the knock in our boots that we're not actually just going to be able to like run teams over in the first half and then see it out in the second half in our game against West Brom earlier in the season. But I actually think it benefits us directly coming into this game as well, because, you know, had it been that comfortable 3-0 that it was at half time all the way to the end, you know, that almost increases the concern of that complacency kind of creeping in, right? And it being like, well, we batted this lot last time, so we should again. But actually, they gave us a good go at St Mary's, and that won't that won't dissipate, right? It was recent enough that only back in the start of December, it's going to be in the memory still. So yeah, I think there's a good chance we go and do a good job against it. Obviously, we talked about earlier in the week, exciting for me in particular, because my kids' first away games. They are both very excited to be heading down to, admittedly, a fairly familiar ground, a ground we've been to a couple of times to watch West Brom in the past with my brother-in-law, but from the the other end of the turnstile and the away end, it's exciting, and a game that my son's rolling prediction of 5-0. I mean, it's not outside the realms of possibility, right?
Yeah, this is the thing. Do we kind of go with this like mentality of man, it's so great to be a Saints fan right now, or do we be a bit more reserved about it? And it's difficult because you probably could predict something like that, but I don't know. Would West Brom be looking for a bit of a reaction after being booed multiple times? How mentally spent are they after having random MLS manager rock up, make everything worse, leave? They didn't do too well in the games afterwards, but you've got to think, yeah, it's still, you could have wounded animal syndrome, right? Like you still could have someone that decides to fight back, and what a statement it would be to beat the team that's probably at the top of the form table. And yeah, it's.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of that about it, right?
I am also, as much as I try to purge me of my my worries, just not doesn't happen, does it?
Look, there's a lot of that about this as well, and about that fixture, and football tends to be a fairly poetic sport and loves to build a narrative, and there's plenty of narratives that could sort of go in that direction. Obviously,
Greg, all I can think of.
Club legend taking charge, right?
All I can think of is when the social media team put out the Southampton versus Watford. It's got history.
Yeah.
Because it's very much like, I know what you're saying, and you're right. Anyone can spin a narrative, but also it's like, it's more of a narrative in my mind for like your family and you than it is for realistically like us versus West Brom.
From like the West Brom perspective, right? It's their interim manager, sort of a club legend. It's his first game in charge at home in this stint as interim manager, and that has its way of coming into the equation. And of course, they've hired Matt Gill to their backroom staff.
They have,
obviously, famously assistant manager to Russell Martin for us, and then for Rangers as well. Which is another piece of football poetry, if you will, that's there to be picked at and potentially sort of weave its way into the tale. But no, I think taking it all into consideration, a game where I think we will still be coming away with a victory, just maybe not the kind of high-scoring escapades we've seen of midweek games of recent memory, right? Just solid performance to push it over the line. But yeah, I mean, look, let's get into the predicted team lineups and see how we think those rotations are going to take shape. No press conference information for us. Not really through fault of Tonda on this occasion. We're taking an early recording to accommodate for my travel plans. But all being well and good, how do you see it lining up and coming back? Obviously, Perret's first name on the team sheet no longer a point of discussion as it was earlier in the season. But do you think that Stevens comes back in the
Yeah,
in
I'd
the,
say
in the
so.
squad?
I think the only reason he was out at the weekend was to probably save him for this period of time.
Yeah, I think that like he'd
Not that Wood did anything wrong, to be clear.
no
I just think
no
that, club captain playing well,
yeah
good partnership with Taylor Hopkins. Why would you mix that up, right? To a
yeah.
game where you
I
still need
think
to make sure we're winning.
I think I heard that there was some kind of scan or something for Stevens slightly earlier a couple of weeks ago. So maybe just like resting him based off of that with the aim to bring him back in. But yeah, I would expect to see him come back in. But you're right. Even if not, if Wood did enough, more than enough in that game to prove to me that his name in the squad would still bring that same confidence, right? That we carry in. James Bree, of course. I mean, look, Harbour Bellis played an excellent game against Fulham. Truly deserving of the captain's armband that he took through that game. We didn't
Yep.
even really touch upon that in the review, but he was,
No, that's
excellent throughout. So is for me obviously on this predicted lineup, and James Bree the same, right? That the two names that have properly bedded themselves into this like proper starting 11 and made themselves really important. Yeah, all right, good. And then Manning on the left, or do you think we maybe see Yella come in and get some minutes?
I just don't think they'd switch out Manning at this point, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think if he's playing all right and he can play, why would you want to mix that up? For me, it would almost feel like taking him out and putting in Gillett would be like sort of the rotation I'd have expected to have seen in the FA Cup game, if I'm totally honest.
yeah, but I mean, what I'm thinking is this the game that we're aiming that kind of rotation towards, right? If Manning's the clearly first choice fullback, are we going to be saving him? Is he got 270 minutes of play in him across a 7 day period, or 6 days even, because it's what Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday?
Yeah,
Is 3 full games something he's got in his legs? I don't know if the answer to that is yes or no. To be honest, is this game you rotate him for, or do you sort of play him and risk being forced into that decision at the weekend?
and this is where I guess the depth issue we have comes out in full force. So
Hmm.
I think that if he's okay, they'll play him. That's what
Yeah,
I think. And if he's still okay at the weekend, they'll play him at the weekend as well.
yeah. Look,
Until
I
Wellington's
think
back.
you're
So
right. I think Tonda's shown frequently that he doesn't like to tinker with it too much for the sake of rotation. Really, try and keep a winning team and keep what's working. And yeah, I think you're right. Midfield, then, position we're sort of perpetually comfortable with at the moment. We've got what
yeah,
5 choices for those 2 spots in the middle of the park, and I think routinely we kind of say that any combination, any 2 of those 5 is a combination we're happy with to do the job and get it over. But which 2 do you see coming into the mix
uh,
on Wednesday? Obviously,
Downs
we
and
had
Charles.
Downs and Yander at the. All right, Downs and Charles.
There you go.
Interesting.
That's kind
No,
of where I'm at.
have we seen those 2 play together under Eckert much?
Yeah,
Because
I swear
I
we
know
have.
at I know at the start of the season we were talking about how some of the struggles we were having were maybe that they were sort of too similar in role. But I wondered if I wasn't entirely
I don't
sure.
know. I'm not entirely. I don't know how much I agree with that anymore.
Yeah,
He's played Charles in more forward positions since then, and he's
yeah,
done
I
all right in
agree
those
completely.
positions. So
Yeah,
that shows you kind of how out of favour some players were when we were talking about
mm.
how Charles was being put up there over a Rebo, who naturally that was supposed to be his position, despite the fact that he was playing in all sorts of positions last season. So yeah, I don't really. That's
and
much
to,
of a
and to be
problem.
fair, some of those issues would have come about because of the back 3 shape and the kind of difference in space that creates. But
So yeah,
yeah,
I don't think that'd be a problem, and I actually think it's I think it's probably it depends how much credence you put into the whole rumours around Gander, whether or not he's having a bit of a funny 5 minutes, and if he's having funny 5 minutes, are they going to do the whole, well, we'll show confidence and throw him out into the game again, which, has done. He's done that with Archer a few times, but also if it doesn't improve at that point, you switch up, right? And we know that both Charles and Downs are consistent performers no matter what. There doesn't really seem to be a thing that's changed. Therefore, anything Downs has just gotten better. The only reason I would expect to maybe not see Downs is because of this whole card thing that's overhanging. So potentially you might see Charles and Yander, but that's pretty much where my headspace is at on the field.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. Yeah, right. I think the only reason we might see Downs rotated is that I think it's the Coventry game that is the last game before the kind of card amnesty, I think. So if he can not get booked on Wednesday and not get booked against Coventry, then he sort of dodges those suspension parts. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like you say, even then, Cam Bragg, if he's brought in, more than happy with that. Like any of those players in that position, any kind of rotation that we see, it's not going to cause concern. But you're right. I think probably see Charles come in, and interestingly, wasn't in the squad at all in the FA Cup, Charles. So
yeah, but
hoping that was just saving him for it.
I don't think there was anything to say injury, right? To my knowledge,
no, I didn't see anything.
I think it was literally
just saving him and his legs to for this game, hopefully. And then moving forward up the line to the kind of attacking four. I don't know. Fellows do enough to keep his place, do you think? Or do you bring Matsky back in?
I would bring Matsky back in. I know that I'm biased. However, Fellows up against his former team might add a little bit of fire to it.
You talk about narratives in football that want to play themselves out, and it feels like it would be a fitting place. It would be a fitting place for Tom Fellows to get his first goal in a Saints shirt.
Tom Fellows doesn't score goals. That's just not his thing, Greg. I'm sorry.
Finnazaz, I thought he was excellent against Fulham.
I thought he had a really good game.
Got to stay there for me.
100%.
Leo, obviously...
If he's not completely clattered to the ground and he can still manage it, because he is getting surprised. He still hasn't picked up another sort of longer term injury, considering how often.
The same kind of thoughts that I had on Manning for me is that whilst I think they'll probably start him if he's fit and ready to go, maybe if there's any question, it'll be a case of letting him come on off the bench for a shorter game and saving that start that's in his legs for Coventry on Saturday. But I mean, Edozie sort of shown that he's pretty capable coming into that role, also quite explosive and a handful for the opposite number to defend against. Still not seen any of that end product from him, but to be fair, he's not had the most opportunity to sort of get there and show that part of his game's come in, has he? So
yeah, not really. It's not like last time he was featuring prominently. We were like the end product. I don't think it's as reliant on that now because of the other places we are able to produce goals from, right? And I don't think it's as much of an issue. Yes, it would be a lovely addition, but I am perfectly capable and fine with him being able to get the ball into those areas and someone else put it away than when, that was significantly more important, where we'd spend 95 minutes a game doing build-up to be able to shoot and score, and then it mattered because if he missed, that was it. Whereas I think we're just doing a bit more this season, in my opinion. So I don't think it's as much of a problem. He doesn't have that end product. That's just personal opinion, anyway.
No, look, I think he'd be fine, and maybe a start against a team that are going to be lacking in confidence, and against a fullback that's not going to like the idea of someone with the pace and footwork of Sammy running at him. Will do him the world of good, right? Maybe that's exactly what he's needed to kind of get that over the line and push on. The biggest question mark for me in the team. Ross Stewart or Kyle Larin, mate?
Well, I think they rested Stewart. He had that sort of little bit of injury. He came on as a sub. Larin played really well still. I think maybe if Stewart's got it in him, you start him and maybe swap him with Larin at half time. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think Larin's still got the legs in him, maybe, to probably play again. I'm just kind of very worried about Ross Stewart being overplayed with the issues that he's had. Right,
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. If not, I would probably start him. But
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like they've teed it up for Stewart to start and kind of manage his minutes that way.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think I'm happy either way. What Larin brings, I think he was really, really good against Fulham, and you know, I've said it time and time again. He might not have scored in his last 2 appearances, which is crazy for a striker to have not scored. But what he does off the ball is excellent, and his hold up play is really good, which is probably going to prove to be important. West Brom have a couple of big centre backs to handle, so yeah, it'll be fine either way. And if Stewart is fit and wants to come on, we know what kind of a threat he is on the pitch. He's going to be putting himself about, and yeah, I'm confident with whoever we put in that position, and what a nice position to be in.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, I guess in the way I phrased the question, it was one of those two, but are we completely written off to not expect Cameron Archer at this point? Was it remiss of me to leave his name out of the mix?
No. I think he might at some point come on for Finn Azaz. I just don't think that he just doesn't suit the style of play we currently are doing. And the opportunities when he has been given it, he's not taken. And that might be due to the fact that they're trying to treat him like the other striker, which is why they're trying to move him into that number 10 role. And if that is basically what we're saying his position is with Jay Robinson as still out with injury, then the only person he's going to replace is Finn Azaz, and currently Finn Azaz is above him in the pecking order. So
yeah,
that's just where I'm at with what seems to be the current sort of trend in the team. I think he still potentially can have a part to play, and I think it's probably difficult to adjust that. But if you're Eckert, if Stewart and Larin can play, are you putting in Cam Archer over him?
No, I'm picking either of them. Even if you have to split it 45 minutes apiece, either way, that's what I'd be doing. If both of them only have 45 minutes of running in them, and that's what you have to do, that's fine. I don't see a problem with that in the slightest. But yeah, that's it for me. I think that we'll be looking to take it to 11 games unbeaten, right? We're not going to be trying to mess around with it. We're going to come out to win, and that's what's going to hopefully take place. But
carry on up the table, hope Wrexham falter, and hopefully we keep winning. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Well, let's have a little look at the little summary of the stats I like to look at. Historically, like say earlier, good fixture for us. Of the last 20 games we've played against West Brom, 12 have been wins, 5 losses, 3 draws. So, historic odds very much in our favour. Recent form, of course, also very much in our favour. So many green W's in our overall form. 4 wins and a draw from our last 5 league games. West Brom, on the other hand, 3 draws, 2 losses in their last 5 overall league games. 3 losses at home in their last 5 home games. Just nothing good. They got beat 5-0 by Norwich at the Hawthorns. They got beat 2-0 by Coventry. just not a good time to be a Baggies fan, and I think we'll be looking to add to that misery, to be honest. The overall summary and prediction, though, goes for, you won't believe it, it's Southampton to win, both teams to score yes and over 2.5 goals, with a likely
Whoa,
outcome
are
of
you
2-1.
saying that they are once again predicting a 2-1, Greg?
Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy stats from this robot that seems to predict the same thing every week.
But it points out that our XG is substantially higher than theirs.
Okay.
But what about you, mate? How are you feeling? How do you think it's going to play out?
3-0.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where are those goals coming from?
I want Tom Fellows to score, because I don't think I've ever predicted him to score, so maybe I break the curse. I would like Cole Aaron to score, so people don't get all weird about the fact that he hasn't scored goals in a few games. And maybe a Dozy when he comes on. That would be really cool. Yeah. I don't know whether those will be right in the slightest. I'd like to see that's what I would like to see happen. A lot of second half goals there from me, but it's fine.
Oh, I like it. It's good. Fair enough. What do I think? I think that West Brom are going to know what they're coming up against. It's no secret the form they're in, the form we're on. I think because of that, they're going to try and make it very difficult to play against them and play in this kind of low block style that we're not particularly good at breaking down and playing against, which is it's going to be a make for potentially painful watching, but I think we're still going to be good enough to go and put it away. I just think it's going to be hard work. I'm thinking 2-0.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like it when I predict ahead of you. That feels too optimistic. I revise it to 1.
No, look, I'm still optimistic that we're going to create chances and comfortably win. I just think that they're going to be setting out to make it difficult. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're going to be trying to not get beat at home. That's priority 1, right? So
yeah, I guess that's the case. Although I don't think just a draw does it for them, mate. If I'm totally honest, no. They desperately need a win.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But yeah, I think 2-0. I think we'll still have enough to put them away, put it over the line, and let's have a goal for Ross Stewart and a goal for Cole Aaron, both forward scoring. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Okay, that'd be cool. I'd like that.
After a couple of weeks of goals being spread around and everyone having a bit of a go, just the strikers putting away their chances, 1 each. What more can you ask for? Lovely away game. Lovely drive home, feeling much better about life.
Happy days, mate.
Yeah, but that's it. That's what we think. But let us know in the comments on the socials. How do you think it's going to go? What do you think the score is going to be? We are Daily Saints Pod, absolutely everywhere. X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Hit us up. Let us know your score predictions. We love hearing them, and I can't wait to see what you think is going to come from it. Zach will be back after the game to review his thoughts because, rather rudely, he doesn't fancy waiting up till 2:00 in the morning for me to drive home to record. So, which, to be fair, mate, fair enough. So until then, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, as always, Zach, for joining me.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate you.
Look forward to that. Have a great day, everyone. And most importantly, come on, you Saints.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.